Now, I'd like to start by sharing with you brain frequencies. And if you've seen video one, you'll see, this iceberg idea that we started to map out, and that we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind, much more rational, logical, it's processing information. The subconscious mind's much more emotional, makes decisions emotionally, all right? And if we have out of alignment, we're going to struggle. We're looking for alignment. Well, as I've gone around the world talking about this, I found that not very many people are aware of brain frequencies and the impact that they can have. So I'm going to take them through the 4 brain frequencies, take you through that first, and then I'm going to talk about, okay, so how can we use this in order to make the changes that we want and also achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Now, there's a little image up there that you see. I do apologize for that, but that BAT-D, as you can see, okay? So we've got BAT-D, not Batman, we have BAT-D in this. So it's an easy way for you to remember the 4 brainwave frequencies. Now, the brain emits electrical pulses, okay? And they're measured per second, okay? And so we have sort of 4 bands have been mapped out that these impulses are happening at. So I'm going to share those with you. So the first one at the top here is beta. All right. So the B in BAT-D is beta. And beta goes anywhere between 14 and 20 cycles per second. Okay. And as you can see, it's where the neurons are really firing quickly. So right, I'm in beta right now. Okay. And beta is sort of wide awake, very aware. It's more to do with concentration and alertness and those sorts of things, okay? So our typical day, we're in beta an awful lot. That's where we play an awful lot. And we play in all the others, but pretty much we're in beta most of the time. If you're analyzing data, if you're sorting data, you're probably in beta. If you're doing a presentation, beta. If you're playing sport, you're in beta. If you're having to do a test of some description or an exam, you're in beta, okay? So that's beta. Then we drop down into alpha. And alpha is where we just begin to slow down that little bit. We still are aware, but it's like an expanded awareness. And this is where we begin to relax. This is where we begin to visualize. It's the place of creativity. When we get our best ideas, they come through the alpha brain frequency waves. Now, alpha is anywhere between 7 and 14. And this is where you can see this sort of smoothing effect that starts to happen. And any time that you've had, say, an idea, a brain wave, it's come more from the alpha. Now, what's just below alpha is theta. And theta is much more to do with meditation. Certainly the sort of the deeper the meditation. So when meditators are meditating, okay, they're often getting down to this theta level of brain frequency. When you have an intuitive sort of flash, typically it's coming from here. This is where our memories are housed. And remember, the unconscious mind works based on emotion. And so we have every single experience ever recorded in the unconscious mind. It's all there. And some of those memories are positive and some of those memories are negative, but they're all there. So this is where they're typically housed. Now, what's below that? And theta is anywhere between 4 and 7. Now, what's below that is delta. And delta is anywhere between 0 and 4. Now, this is where we are in deep sleep, for instance. And what's been found with this is where healing really takes place, because if you think often when you're not feeling very well, you want to sleep because the human growth hormone is released when we're here. So healing typically takes place here. Deep sleep takes place here. It's kind of a detached awareness, when you have that, you have those dreams where they don't really seem to make much sense, and you're not really present in any way, shape or form. That's very much delta, right? Now up here I've put TPM, that's thoughts per minute, because there's times when it's important to have, a lot of thoughts, but there's times when it's important to have quality thoughts. And as we drop down to different brain frequencies, then the thoughts per minute change. So when we're really stressed, then the researchers have found that they're around the sort of the 60 and sometimes even higher thoughts per minute. Okay, so you think when you're stressed, lots of things going through your head, lots of thoughts. And then as we begin to come down, and the average is around 30 thoughts per minute. That's the average, okay? And then as we drop down even further and we start to become relaxed, we come down to sort of 15 thoughts per minute. Very relaxed, 10 thoughts per minute, right the way down to obviously meditators not having any thoughts, or when we're deep sleep, not necessarily having any thoughts. There we have images coming up, but it's not necessarily thoughts. So how can we use this? Well, when it comes to setting goals, it's really important that we're in alpha, not in beta. So the first suggestion I'd like to give you is make sure when you come to set your goals that you get out of your natural environments. There's the places that you typically habitat. So your home, your office, get out of those and go somewhere where you're inspired. I took you to where I'm inspired, okay? Go somewhere like that, because the environment will change how you feel. How you feel will change what you think. It will change the brain frequency, basically. Excuse me. And what you're looking for is to be able to visualize your desired outcome. And where's the best place to do that? Alpha. Mental imagery, creativity. And that can only come by relaxing. And certain environments relax us naturally. They do it naturally. We don't even have to think about it. So I'd like you to go somewhere where, for you, it changes how you feel. It changes your energy. All right. No need to do it in the office, and no need to do it at home. In fact, I would not recommend it at all. So that's the first thing, okay? Because you want to access alpha. Alpha allows you. It's like a gateway. It allows you into the deeper aspects of your subconscious mind. It's the gateway through which we get there. And the more we train ourselves to stay in alpha, then the more we can access what sits in our unconscious mind, the more we can begin to reprogram the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind likes and thinks in pictures. So images. And let me give you an example. I'd like you to imagine that in front of you is a piece of emery board, a piece of sandpaper. Okay, and I'd like you to imagine that you sort of fold it in half. So you have sandpaper on the top and sandpaper on the bottom. And then you bring that sandpaper up and just put it in your mouth and just your teeth on it. Now, if you're anything like me, you instantly get that goosebump type experience. I've gone really goosey. Okay, now why is that? Well, what we'll learn in video number 4, we're going to talk about the 4 laws of the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind can't tell what's real or what's imagined. So what you drop down is real, and it then responds to that image. It reacts to that image, even though it's not real. There's no emery board out here, right? And so we can utilize that in order to become a high achiever, a peak performer. We can utilize that by deliberately putting the images in to the unconscious mind and reprogramming the unconscious mind so it responds to that. And that's what goals are. Okay, when you start to drop your goals down, it makes a difference. So the unconscious mind is influenced through images and emotions. And certain images are emotional, like the one I just gave you with the emery board, okay, would be an example. But if I ask you to close your eyes and picture yourself on a place where you feel relaxed and feel, really calm, place where you love to be, if you start thinking about that, then you'll begin to change your brain frequency. You'll begin to drop down. Your mind will begin to smooth. Better ideas, more quality ideas. And this is a long time ago now, I was in New York, and it was in a bank, and we were walking along the corridors, walking along with the person I was going to be working with. And a door was open, and in the door, in the actual room, was an individual on a black leather chair, leaning right back, feet up on the desk, looking out over Manhattan. It was dark, so everything was lit up. And he had his arms behind his head like this. Now, you don't typically see that posture in that environment. In fact, I've never seen it. So as we walked past, I said to the person we were working with, "Who's that?" So he mentioned his name, and I said, are people allowed to sit like that? And he said, oh, well, last time he had an idea, he saved us $50 million. So, yeah, well, because he's sat there and he's very relaxed, he's probably going to come up with better quality thoughts than being, moving too fast and being pretty stressed out, right? High in beta rather than down here in alpha. So, imagery, okay, images. And one of the things that you can do is you can create for yourself what's called a vision board. So here's our family vision board, okay, for this year. And so you can go and cut out images and pictures and you can stick them on a board or a card or something. And that then is dropping these down into alpha, especially if you get yourself into alpha state first. 2 times a day that we move through alpha, naturally, every day, okay? And you probably have worked it out. As we go to sleep, we shift from beta down, and as we wake up, so let's just draw this, so as we fall asleep, and as we wake up, okay, we move through alpha. So as the conscious mind begins to go to sleep, the unconscious mind wakes up, all right, metaphorically. So we have an opportunity, a window of opportunity to influence it. So the last piece of advice I'd like to give you on here is to think about your waking up and going to sleep routine, especially your going to sleep routine. That last 7 minutes, what is your routine? And what I recommend is what I call mental flossing, all right? Flossing, mental flossing. We understand what flossing is, but mental floss. So this is where we take, an imaginary floss and we floss through the mind and we take all of that mental plaque that's built up. And we pull it out, what I call truth decay, okay? Because the truth is that we have so much potential, but we begin to believe in lack and limitations and labels, which I'll talk about on video number 4 in more detail. And it's a good idea to have a routine to purposely drop into the subconscious mind, begin programming the subconscious mind with actually what we want to create, rather than haphazardly or just falling asleep with any routine. So one of the things that you can do is you can take your vision board and you can have that close to you. So just as you're beginning to drop off, that's in front of you and you can just think about the image. You can take the goal that you want to achieve and think about how you'll feel when you've achieved that goal. Get the feeling that's associated. Remember on the last video I said, we don't actually want the goal. You want the feeling that the goal was going to give you, whatever that is. Confidence, freedom, whatever it is. Get that feeling just as you're going to sleep. Because once again, you drop that down. Use an affirmation. Turn your goal into an affirmation to affirm something positive. Put it in the I am. So if it's a weight loss goal, I am a certain weight, I am a certain size, and I have tons of energy now to be able to do X, right? So affirm. And just as you're falling asleep, just as you're dropping into alpha, just think about your goal, just affirm, and then you'll drift off to sleep. And then that drops down into the subconscious mind through the image, it's emotional, and then the subconscious mind begins to work and act on that. So it begins to work for you rather than against you. Now, more's coming this way with the 4th video on this in particular, but this is a great start for now. So 3 things then. Firstly, the best state to be in to set your goals is alpha. Okay, get yourself into alpha. Secondly, the language of the subconscious mind is images. So where and how are you going to use images? Could you cut out a picture of what your goal looks like when you've achieved it? Could you put yourself in that picture? Could you use vision boards? All right, so how could you use imagery? Can you just use creativity from your imagination and visualization, which is easier to do when we're in alpha, okay, than it is when we're up here in beta? Okay, and lastly, the 2 windows of opportunity that we go through twice a day as we're going to sleep and as we're waking up. So as you're waking up, you can think about what day you want to create today. Get the feeling of coming back home having had a fantastic day